Well, hello there, hello there, hello there. Let me get this off of here because you don't want to see this. Hello, beautiful people. How are you on this Sunday evening? Welcome to Intellectual Radio, Voices of Change. My name is Jan, and I'll be your host this evening. It's been so long since I've been on. It feels so good being here back on the air. And I'm just so glad that you're here to join me. And what I want you to do is share, share, share. I know you're probably thinking, oh, it's going to be a news story. Yeah, it is. But news is important too. It's really important for us to know what's going on. So, people that are listening, anyone that's out there, anybody that is within earshot, say hello. Tell me where you're from. Say, hey, Jan, I'm listening, tuning in from wherever. And what I'll try to do, I will try to read all the messages and comments that I get. Okay. So just give me your name if you want to, or your initials, and tell me where you're from. I have a lot of birthday wishes today. I didn't know May was such a birthday month, but it is. So happy birthday today to Mia Cornelius, Selena Gutierrez, Romaine Oda, and also a big congratulations to my soror sister, Dr. Latrice Eggleston, for completion of her Juris Masters from Emory University. What a huge accomplishment. Remember the last time we were talking about school, she was in a doctorate program and finished that. And now she's in a master's program and finished that. So I guess the next step for her is JD. Okay, you guys, come on, tell me something. Comment, say something, say hello. I want to see some comments. Every show I always read a scripture. And for today, it's not going to change. Today, the scripture is from Romans 8:28. And it says, and we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Ooh, that's a beautiful and powerful scripture. That's something that we can really live by and know that, in all things, everything works for the good, So sometimes, when things get us down and we're worrying about things and thinking, gee, I don't know what I'm going to do. Know that he got your back. He definitely has your back. So right before we get to the news you can use, and we have quite a few news stories, and I wanted this to be somewhat interactive. I wanted you to comment on the news stories that I read about. I'm going to divide it up into sections. It's going to be first kind of general news, and then we're going to have a few political news stories. Then we're going to have a few entertainment news stories, and then we'll wrap it up. And then I'm going to invite you back, of course, to next week, because next week we do have some exciting guests. So I want you to definitely be back here for next week. In the meantime, in between time, I'm going to take a quickie break right before I start the news you can use. I will be right back.
I don't know what you did, but you did it right. Girl, you make it look so easy. Everywhere you go, hands turning left and right. Can't say you a dime, you're a 20-piece. Cause girl, you're the reason I be acting funny. Everything in me telling me don't let you get away. And all the guys looking like they wanna love you. Every day I'm your body got not over my dead body. Why you gotta look so good?
Yeah, I get it. I get it, y'all. I get it. It's beautiful outside. Everybody wants to be outside today. I get it. I get it. I understand it. But right now, we're going to start the news you can use for those just tuning in. You're listening to Intellectual Radio, and this show is the Voices of Change. And I'm your host today, and my name is Jan. Let's start with the first story. The first story is out of Brownsville, Texas. An SUV slammed into a crowd Sunday, killing at least 7 people and injuring at least 10 who were waiting at a bus stop outside a migrant shelter in the border city of Brownsville, Texas. Shelter Director Victor Maldonado of the Bishop Enrique San Pedro Ozanen Center said he reviewed the shelter surveillance video on Sunday morning after receiving a call about a crash. What we see in the video is that this SUV, a Range Rover, just ran the light that was about 100 feet away and just went through the people who were sitting there at the bus stop. The city bus stop is across the street from the shelter and is not marked. There was no bench, and people waiting there were sitting along the curb. How horrible. These people were sitting along the curb, and this car, seemingly a Range Rover, seemingly just went right through the people. I don't know if there was a medical emergency or anything, but that's terrible. Hello, Romaine. Hi, Romaine. Oh, Romaine, you were one of the ones who I mentioned. Romaine is having her birthday May 8th tomorrow. And thank you for welcoming me back. I did, in fact, miss it. The next story is even more horrific, equally horrific. It's out of Chicago. A Chicago police officer is dead after she was fatally shot Saturday in the Avalon Park neighborhood following her shift. Chicago police said the officer had just completed her shift when she was found with a gunshot wound shortly before 1:45 a.m. in the 8100 block of South Blackstone. The officer was taken to a nearby hospital where she later died, police said. The female officer was identified as 24-year-old Arena Preston. On Saturday, May 6, around 1:42 a.m., Chicago police received the Apple Watch emergency notification and the ShotSpotter alert of 9 rounds on 81st and Blackstone. Officers found her laying in her front yard with at least 9 GSWs, 9 gunshot wounds. She had 9 gunshot wounds to her body, and from what I understand, she was thrown on the grass. The officers rushed her to UFC hospital where she was pronounced dead. This young lady was only 24 years old, had spent 3 years on the force, and Loyola University confirmed that she was on track to graduate on May 13th, next week, with a Master's of Jurisprudence from the School of Law. What a loss. I really hope, they find whoever did this. The current mayor, Mayor Lightfoot, said that she's not going to spare any resources. We've got to find these animals. And I have a few more. Hello, Cynthia. Thank you very much who are you speaking to? This girl, I have somebody on here. So she's saying hello to me and then she's speaking to other people. Anyway, and we go on. Jenny Craig Diet Center closing all brick and mortar locations. Popular Diet and Nutrition Company, Jenny Craig, is closing its center locations after 40 years in business, according to reports. NBC News obtained copies of an email sent to employees Tuesday saying it will close due to its inability to secure additional financing. The memo said the final day for salary-filled employees will be Friday, and that was 2 days ago. Hourly center employees' last day working was Tuesday, so they got notified that day and they're out. The company is going to reportedly shift to an e-commerce model, which is maybe not a bad idea. About another diet program. Weight Watchers jumps into the prescription weight loss drug business. Isn't everybody? If I see another Ozempic or Wegovy commercial, I'm going to scream. Because, last time when I was looking at that, Wegovy, from what I understand, at the last ad I saw, self-pay, it's up to $1,675. Ridiculous. Anyway, the company known as Weight Watchers International will buy Sequence, a telehealth subscription service that connects patients with doctors who can prescribe weight loss and diabetes drugs, including the hot new diabetic drug Ozempic. The $106 million acquisition of Sequence will give Weight Watchers a foothold into the growing market for prescriptive drugs to tackle obesity and other weight conditions. This was interesting. They said around 94% out of 100 people, 94 of them, of U.S. adults are classified as obese or overweight, according to the CDC. To me, that data is staggering. 94% obese. There's a growing scientific evidence that for some prescription chronic weight management medications can address the biological components of obesity, according to Weight Watchers. Although Weight Watchers didn't specifically mention Ozempic or Wegovy or any other drug, the company noted that Sequence is going to charge $99 a month for their plan, and it helps to connect customers to doctors who can prescribe drugs that mimic an appetite-regulating hormone called GLP-1. Okay, so my question for Weight Watchers, okay, this is good, this is fine, this is progressive. You're going to acquire this organization called Sequence. These are doctors. It's going to cost $99 a month. But will we still have to pay those astronomical amounts for the drug if our insurance carrier doesn't pay for it. So if I'm paying you $99 a month, then I got to still turn around and pay over $1,000 a month for this drug. I might as well just go to my doctor and have him write me a script and pay out of pocket and not pay you the $99. Okay, that's me just venting. Cynthia, hello, hello, hello. And I'm glad that you're on, and I'm glad that you can see who's on. And for those that are on that are a little bit shy, just, give me a shout out. Tell me your name if you want to, or just tell me tuning in from, I don't know, Hyde Park or wherever you're at. These stories are just going and going and going. And any story that I read, anything that I'm saying on here, if you have any comment about it, don't hesitate to give me your comment. I'll read it and comment back, and maybe we can dialogue a little bit. I want to make it a little interactive since I'm going solo. Advocates for the homeless are calling for accountability in the death of Jordan Neely, a 30-year-old homeless man who died this week on a New York subway train after he was placed in a fatal chokehold by a fellow passenger for several minutes. Neely, a man who had performed on subway platforms as a Michael Jackson impersonator, had been complaining of hunger and thirst while riding an F train in Manhattan on Monday, according to a journalist who was there and witnessed it, Alberto Vasquez. Vasquez described his account in a Facebook post in which he shared a 4-minute video showing the encounter. Neely shouted that he was fed up, that he didn't care if he went to prison, and that he was ready to die. Neely then took off his jacket and aggressively threw it on the subway car floor, but did not appear to want to attack anyone, according to the journalist that was right there looking at it. Then, a white 24-year-old passenger on the train put Neely in a headlock and held him in the position for 15 minutes, Vasquez said. 15 minutes. 2 other bystanders also stepped in to help the man restrain Neely. The city's medical examiner ruled the death was a homicide caused by compression of the neck from the chokehold. No arrests have been made following the incident. The attorney for Danny Penny, who's a 24-year-old who restrained Neely in the chokehold, said in a statement that their client never intended to harm Mr. Neely and could not have foreseen his untimely death. The attorneys, Stephen Razor and Thomas Kenneth, said that when Mr. Neely began aggressively threatening Daniel Penny and the other passengers, Daniel, with the help of others, acted to protect themselves until help arrived. Now, I have a problem with that last statement because the first thing they always say is that my life was in danger. I was in fear. I was in fear. According to the person who was a bystander, said he didn't threaten any bodily harm. And I don't do chokeholds. I don't know martial arts. But what I want to know is anybody who may know or do martial arts or know about chokeholds, if you're putting this chokehold on somebody for 15 minutes, can't you see the life going out of them? Even if a person chokes, you see them turning colors. And so doesn't it seem like the 15 minutes was excessive and they knew exactly what they were doing? I know when my brother was in the service, I know that there is some kind of a chokehold that they know is a death chokehold. So anyone that knows how to do these chokeholds, I don't. So I'm just assuming, because even when if a person chokes for a minute, you see them, they start turning colors. So he sat on him and put him in a chokehold for 15 minutes and didn't know he was choking the life out of him. I don't know. I got a few more people that are mentioning something. Ben, Goldie. Okay, you have to tell me about Goldie. John from Irvine, California in the house. Ben, Nigeria, Africa in the house. Okay, John, it takes 3 minutes to kill a person. He's trained. I just thought it was so weird because how can you choke a person 15 minutes and not know the life is going out of him? And he's trained. He wanted to. Yeah, that's why they're protesting. I just thought for his lawyers to come back and say, oh, well, he had him in a chokehold for 15 minutes and he had no idea that he was choking the life out of him. He didn't see the George Floyd video. Okay. I'm going to get off that one. The next one. Okay. And I know all you people are going to talk about me because I like looking at things that go on in the UK and London. So this is something that I enjoy doing. Back in the day, years ago, I got up in the morning at 5 in the morning and I saw Diana and Charles get married. As recent as last year, I did see the funeral, the services of the Queen. And yes, yesterday I did watch the coronation out of London. After the longest wait ever, King Charles III finally sat on his coronation chair above the Stone of Destiny, while a heavy golden crown was fitted upon his head at Westminster Abbey, and bells tolled, and the people shouted, "God save the King!" It was a global broadcast spectacle that combined the medieval and modern, that paid homage to an ancient rite as it sought to be inclusive and diverse, and somehow rich with pageantry and slimmed down at the same time. It was a drizzly day. The skies were gray, and the crowds along the parade route held the umbrellas above their heads or were wrapped in clear plastic as they joined in a homage of the people, in unison declaring their allegiance to the king. And yes, Harry was there, and he looked very, very happy to me. He looked like he was in his own element. As I watched it, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. But what I didn't like was, sometimes it just seems like we almost give up too much for the one we love. Um, Harry has given up a lot for the one he loves. And I guess it's all worth it because, in retrospect, when you go back and think about Charles, when Charles and Camilla were a thing and he was with Diana and everybody hated her, and it took 20 some years after her death, I guess, for people to accept her. So I don't know. Interesting. There is another comment. It said chokeholds are known for killing Black men disproportionately compared to their white counterparts for the same reason. Interesting. I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to get some data on that. I didn't know that, but it just seemed to me 15 even okay. I used to get in fights when I was younger. 15 minutes is even a long time to fight. My God, you're about tired. 15 minutes. If you see somebody choking on anything, after about a minute or so, they start turning colors and and so he didn't know he choked the life out of this guy. And then the other two guys that was with him that held him down made sure it happened. I don't know. That's a big question mark right there. That's a good point. Thanks for letting me know that about chokeholds. I didn't know that, but it makes sense. Now, I have somebody on here from California. So this is for you. It's out of the New York Times. And it's interesting because I think it's going to set a precedent for other states. Out of the New York Times, California panel calls for billions in reparations for Black residents. A task force recommended that legislators enact a sweeping program to compensate for the economic harm from racism in the state's history. The 9-member reparations task force, whose work is being closely monitored by politicians, historians, and economists across the country, produced a detailed plan for how restitution should be handled to address a myriad of racist harms, including housing discrimination, mass incarceration, and equal access to equal care. Created through a bill signed into law by the governor, Gavin Newsom, in the wake of the nationwide racial protests after the murder of George Floyd in 2020, the panel has spent more than a year conducting research and holding listening sessions all the way from the Bay Area to San Diego. It will be up to legislators to weigh the recommendations and decide whether to forge them into law, a political and fiscal challenge that has yet to be reckoned with. Okay. I got a few people on here. It looks like they all have something in common. Looks like the common denominator is that last name. I'm loving it. What do you think about reparations? And before you say this, I remember back, I don't know, it's probably 20 some years ago. And this was like, I don't remember hearing it in the news, but I remember me and my sister, we both got letters with our last name being Oda. Oda is not only a name, it's also been a surname for Japanese people. And they wrote us a letter and they said that they were doing reparations, and I think they were giving out $20,000, no questions asked. So, it was like 20 years ago, maybe longer. So we were like, wait now, we know we're not Japanese, but wait, if they're giving out this $20,000. But, the trick was, it just wasn't them giving out $20,000 based on a surname. You had to go there. They had to see you. I guess they had to, I don't know what seeing you would do, but they had to find out. Not that we were ever seriously considering trying to take this money, but I thought it was interesting that reparations were given to them, and it wasn't really publicized so much that I ever read about it, but I did get a letter saying that this is due because of my last name, if in fact I am of this ethnic race. So I know a lot of people think that reparations aren't a good idea. They think, okay, what are they going to do with the money? Like, does anybody ask what you're going to do with the money? But anyway, they think, okay, and also where's the money going to come from, etc. and so on. So I just need to know, what do you think about reparations as far as an amount? Oh man, I've heard so many different amount. I would need to know more info. How much money and how soon could they get it? You know what? This is just, they're just kind of in the planning stages right now. And I'll be honest, at this point, I don't know if they could ever do it. I don't know. You have to understand we have 42 million people in the state of California. Okay, 42 million. That's a good point. Okay, so does that mean people have to be, how do I say it, Black parents? Can they be of mixed race? Can they be, well, they haven't ironed all this out. I think it would be a logistics nightmare. I don't know. Okay, another horrible story from one after another. Texas seems to be hot today. Out of Allen, Texas, authorities responded to the Allen Premium Outlets to investigate a shooting Saturday afternoon that killed 8 victims and sent others to hospitals with a victim as young as 5 years old. Ugh. The Allen Police Department said one of its officers responded to the outlet mall for an unrelated call when they heard gunshots just after 3:30 p.m. That officer engaged a suspect and neutralized the threat, police said. Including the shooter, there were 9 people who died. 7 were pronounced dead on the scene, while 2 others died at the hospital. The Allen Fire Department transported 9 victims, but others have been transported by other agencies or driven to a hospital by friends or family. Police said there are 3 victims in critical condition right now and 4 unstable. A spokesman for the Medical City Healthcare said 8 victims ranging from 5 to 61 years old were being treated at their facility Saturday. We have something here. It says we are behind South Africa and should close as South Africa did. Truth and reparations, meaning apology and reparations. Can you imagine being behind South Africa? So, question for you, Ben. Is South Africa giving reparations? I know they gave an apology, but have they given reparations? That'll be interesting. What color? Because they didn't kill him. Oh, I think he did die. The gunman did die. Yeah. On this recent story out of Allen, it said there were 9 people, including the shooter, that died. Now, we've had so many mass shootings. We've had mass shootings. Okay, so this is 199th mass shooting this year. The attack in Allen is one of at least 199 mass shooting in the U.S. this year, in which 4 or more people have been shot, excluding a gunman, according to the Gun Violence Archive. It is one of the 3 mass shootings that took place on Saturday, as recorded by the archive. 3 just yesterday. In the early mornings of Saturday, a shooting at a party in Chico, California, left 5 people injured and 1 dead. Additionally, a shooting in Columbus, Ohio, left 3 people injured and 1 dead. The latest attack comes just days after a 24-year-old gunman allegedly shot 1 person dead at a medical facility in Atlanta and injured 4 others. Ugh. So they gave reparations, Ben? Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up because that's a good show. I would love to, and yeah, that's something that we're behind South Africa. But I'd love to see how they did that. I mean, you know, logistically, did they do it based on anybody who had a parent who was who was Black? Did they do it based on someone that had 2 Black parents? Did they do it, and how much did they give? You know, how much did they give per person? And was it per adult? Anyway, I'm going to look that up. Thank you. And matter of fact, I know you love research as much as I do. Let me know where I can find something at. Make my job a little shorter. The latest job report shows the unemployment rate fell to 3.4% in April after 253,000 jobs were added last month. But hiring isn't strong across the board and is concentrated in only a handful of industries. Employers continue to hire for in-demand skills while pulling back on non-essential headcount. Where is hiring the strongest? Well, it looks like the bulk of new jobs last month came from gains in professional and business services, healthcare, leisure, and hospitality, specialized construction contractors, and food and drinking services. In total, these five industries hired 165,000 new workers in April. 65% of the overall jobs added went to those jobs up there, which were business services, healthcare, leisure, and hospitality, specialized construction contractors, food and drinking services. Professional and business services, which include a wide range of jobs such as accountants, lawyers, and engineers, added 43,000 jobs, the biggest gain across all industries. Average hourly earnings for workers in that industry rose by 24% to $40.20. That's 20% higher than what the average private sector worker earned. Even though the job report showed a net positive gain, there were some sizable layoffs. The largest cuts hit workers who were involved in helping other workers get hired, such as recruiters, career coaches, and human resource professionals. Across that industry known as employment services, there were 24,000 layoffs last month. It's a year of efficiency, said Julia Polak, chief economist at ZipRecruiter. Companies are telling recruiters to do more with less and to cut costs after 2 years of spending whatever it takes to fill vacancies. And Ben, okay, they gave reparations. They don't have that dynamic in South Africa, meaning mixing. That's interesting because in other major countries on the continent, there's quite a bit of mixing. That's interesting. So because they didn't have that, they were able to just give it to all people of color. Okay. I definitely want to look that up. I think I'm going to do a show on that. I'm going to have to get some input for you or have you on it. Chicago drivers can add another construction project to the list of congestion causing road work around the city, repaving part of DeSable Lakeshore Drive, DeSable Drive, whatever. The city is repaving the lakefront road between Lawrence Avenue and LaSalle Drive and repairing the viaduct over Montrose Avenue, and that means lane and exit ramp closures. Just a headache. The project is expected to be finished in mid-June. Until then, it includes work in the evening, overnight, and non-peak daytime hours. But have no fear, even though that'll be done, we got NASCAR to look forward to, and that's going to tie us up for a few more months also. Hello, Jammy? Cynthia, I don't know what that means. What does that hello, Jammy mean? Talk to me. Hello, what is hello? Oh, maybe you meant to say hello, Jan, right? Maybe? Okay. Well, you know what time it is. I'm going to actually go to a different segment on the news, and I'm going to talk about just a few political things. Not many, just a few. So I'm going to be right back. Of course, I got to play my music. And I'll be right back in about 2 minutes, and then we're going to talk a little bit of politics. So we'll be right back.
Mother, there's too many of you crying. Brother, there's far too many of you dying. You know we got to find a way to bring some love in the day. Father, we don't need to escalate. War is not the answer, 'cause only love can conquer hate. You know we got to find a way to bring some love in a day. Picket lines, picket signs, don't punish me, brutality. Talk to me so you can see what's going on.
Cynthia. I'm going to call you Miss Congeniality. So Jamie is on, Randy's wife. Hey, Jamie. Glad you're tuned in. And Benjamin Michael is Randy's brother. You guys are funny. Okay, so we're going to talk about some political implications in the news recently, particularly those that impact the city of Chicago. And I want to welcome all those that are just tuning in, like Jamie, to Intellectual Radio, Voices of Change. I'm your host, Jan, and I'm so glad you're here. And hope you join us next week and every week at this time at 6 o'clock. I know it's kind of hard to do with the weather being so nice. You want to be out and about, but maybe you can. Maybe just have your phone and just tune in. Or you can listen to the rebroadcast also. Political news. Brandon Johnson. Everyone's heard that name in the Chicago area and beyond. Ooh, that was loud. Brandon Johnson was elected Chicago mayor, defeating Paul Vallas in a runoff between two Democrats to take over a city grappling with crime, an issue that dominated the race. Johnson, a 47-year-old Cook County commissioner, becomes the 57th mayor of the third largest U.S. city after incumbent Lori Lightfoot was eliminated from the race in February. Now, Johnson actually starts his term. That's so loud. His inaugural event will be held on May 15th. That's the day he gets inaugurated at the Credit Union One Pavilion. That houses almost 10,000 people. And he's going to also have, for those who can't get a ticket there, he's going to also have an open house open to the public. So anybody who wants to come and maybe meet him or just maybe come, he'll have an open house to the public on that same day, May 15th at 2 p.m. at City Hall. That's going to be a zoo. Anyway, I am just excited. I look forward to Mayor Johnson. Look forward to everything that he's going to implement, and just certain that he's going to be good for our city. Joe Biden. Okay, this is a question that I wanted to ask, and I want you to let me know how you feel about it. I'm going to wait a minute before I go to the next one. After I read this, I'm going to wait a minute for you to answer the question. Joe Biden is officially running for president again. And if recent polls are any indication, most Americans are not thrilled about that news. So I want to ask, how do you feel? In a recent NBC News poll, 70% of respondents said they did not think Biden should run for re-election. That includes 51% of Democrats. Earlier polls have shown similar results, with most believing the party should just move on. Despite a better than expected midterm election cycle, the president's political weakness remains there. His approval rating is currently 42.5%, and he's never really been known for firing up voters with great enthusiasm. Then there's the age issue. He's already 80 and would be 86 at the conclusion of a hypothetical second term. It's hard to ignore the toll of Biden's years, no matter how hard elected Democrats try. All of these issues could imperil his chances of winning. Number one, do you think he should run? Do you think age should even be a factor? I mean, do you think it should really be a factor? He has to have a really strong vice president, but then any president should. And do you think he can win and pull this off? I think I heard there's a Kennedy also that's throwing his hat in the ring. Not that he's really been out there, but what do you think? Any thoughts on Biden? He would go in at 82 and come out at 86. Now, we have a lot of people that are productive at that age. A lot of people that are doing things at that age. He would know himself better than we would. I don't know. Tell me what you think. No comments? Unusual. You guys must have stepped back outside. That is not fair. Okay, this isn't going to go much longer. I promise. Yep, I think everybody stepped outside because no one's saying anything. Yep. So we're going to go to the next. The next story is, we have one. Romaine, and she's a birthday girl. Romaine says, I think he should run and we have to vote on and clear up this mess. Yeah, okay. Okay. Because would anybody ever question someone that's 55 and say, or, someone who's 42 and say that you shouldn't run? And at this point, anything could happen to anybody. Now, if there's an incapacity issue, I'm sure he has to have physicals and his doctors would know, and he knows how he feels. With his schedule now, most people can't keep up with it. Cynthia said age is just a number. Benjamin said Joe Biden and Harris will definitely not get another vote. No more old white men as president. Why did I read all your? I should have read it before I read it. I should have read it. Oh gosh. Okay, Ben, you respond if you're still on. You said no more old white men as president, please. So, who's another contender? Is there one? Is anyone being groomed for the job? Someone said I'll vote for him, and who would you like to vote for in a perfect world? Who do they think want this job? That was my same question to Ben. He said he doesn't want, as he so eloquently put it, an old man. So, any ideas? I'll let you think about it. Okay, sentence hearing set for January for ComEd foreign scheme to bribe Madigan. Okay, so ComEd is our utility company. Um, it handles the grid in this area, so it's our electric company. It handles the grid and nuclear power as far as the towers and stuff. So and Madigan, he's a huge politician. He's the House Speaker. So that's kind of to put it in context. A federal judge on Friday set sentencing dates in January for the ComEd 4, a group of utility executives and lobbyists convicted by a juror earlier this week in a years-long scheme to bribe then so powerful Democratic House Speaker Michael Madigan. Interesting. So they wanted to bribe him so they can have their way and do the rate hikes and do whatever they do. Convicted on Tuesday were former ComEd contract lobbyist Michael McLean, Madigan's longtime confidant, former ComEd CEO Ann Pramagior, former ComEd executive John Hooker, the utility's top lobbyist for years, and ComEd contract lobbyist Jay Daugherty, the ex-president of the City Club, a civic forum for Chicago's elite. These people are like at the top of their game. And they're like middle age and beyond, middle age to and beyond. I can't believe that they got convicted. I thought they'd get away with it, but they did. So we'll see what happens in January 24. Let's go back to something that someone said about the old men. We need new blood, and this is in response to Biden being too old to run for president. This young man, Benjamin, says we need new blood and new ideas. We all know Biden is good old boy. When it is needed, someone always comes to the forefront. Okay, so you're sure someone's going to come to the forefront. Okay. All right. Well, and then Cynthia responded, who are we prepping for it? And she said, yes, I'd vote for Biden again. Okay. This is going to be interesting. He's not the only one running. Keep in mind, he's, from what I understand, Trump is running also. So it's not like Biden is the only one running. But to Ben's point, they're not much different, as far as, they're those men that he referred to. Mayor Lori Lightfoot plans to house some of the city's surging population of migrants at a former high school in the South Shore neighborhood, prompted shouts by frustrated residents who said they were left out of the planning process at a PAC meeting on Thursday night. I have nothing against a migrant, said lifelong resident Marjorie Love, 85, who lives across the street from the closed South Shore High School, which the city proposed to house new arrivals. But if you have 250 people you need to house, you need to find another location. Okay, so the whole thing with this was that we have immigrants. Oh gosh, 6 to 8 months ago, the governor of Texas said that we have an immigrant problem. They're coming over here. We can't house them. At that time, Mayor Lightfoot said, "We can take them. We can take them." So what do? He starts sending them en masse. There's so many that have come over here. Now, what this was about was there's an old South Shore school that have been closed for a while. And from what I understand, it was promised to the community. Then all of a sudden, people woke up and they want to have migrants, 250 of them there in their school, in their neighborhood. And that's what they're jumping up and down about, because they feel that, not that they don't have empathy for the migrants, but it's a resource drain. And well, it would have to be a resource drain. They need shelter. They need medical care. Right now, when I was in church today, the pastor said, well, we have a police station right around the corner. And he said there's 4 families living on the floor in the police station. So the problem is getting bigger than Mayor Lightfoot had intended. And I just don't know how this is going to be resolved. This is something that the new administration, I'm sure Mayor Johnson, I'm sure he's already looked into it and handled this. And we have Jamie. Hey, Jamie. And she said, I think anybody would. I would vote for Biden over Trump. Okay. And then Ben, the one who didn't want the old men, said amen to that. And then we had another one that said new ideas are fine, but we must fix other old issues like the right to vote, the right for clean water, the right for children to live. We have a lot of issues, and we don't even want to start talking about foreign policy because things are really getting revved up. And I know that, this is a topic that we can talk about later, but I know that for a long time we haven't really been focusing on building up our nuclear capacity. We're at the point where there's other countries that appear to be more sophisticated and further along than we are. And that's problematic. So, and gun control. Yeah, there's a lot of things. Here's another one. Newly constructed homes in Illinois would be required to include the infrastructure needed for electric vehicle charging stations under a bill now on Governor J.B. Pritzker's desk. Stupid. The EV Electric Charging Act, passed by the State House Thursday on a party line 69 to 38 vote after early approval by the Senate, requires that new single-family or small multifamily homes offer at least one electric vehicle capable parking space for each residential unit that has dedicated parking. A large multifamily residential building must have 100% of its total parking spaces electric vehicle capable. Okay, there's so many things to think about here. First of all, I got a couple people on here that I know just got a new house. Would you want to have your newly constructed home be required to have an EV charging station, even if you don't have an EV? This is something that's going to have to be required. Or if it's a multifamily home, they're going to have enough. They have to have enough for every single resident. Does that make sense? Have anyone talked to in our area? ComEd. Is a grid going to be able to handle that capacity? I don't know about you guys in other cities, but here in Chicago, sometimes in the summertime, when it gets over, I'd say 95 for 4 or 5 days, it's nothing for them to say, well, you need to turn your air conditioner down because it's putting, strain on the grid. Sometimes the power will go off. They're not thinking about this. And because of what I do, I think about the revenue for the city or the state. When you have a car, when you have fuel, yeah, the price is high, but the state gets tax fuel revenue for these electric cars. And I know they're pushing them, and that's a good thing, because they're cleaner for the air, et cetera, and so on. For the people with the car, they don't have to worry about the gas and everything. But that's going to be revenue that's lost. So how are we going to mitigate the loss of that revenue with these electric vehicles unless we start charging for, maybe states can charge for the charging stations, or maybe they can charge for miles. There's so many things to think about before you say something like, okay, every new house that's built has to have an EV charging station. Whatever. Okay, here we go. Benjamin said, Biden penned a lot of legislation in the 70s and 80s that created such issues. Yeah. Well, that's true. I agree with that. That is true. Chicago news. This is just Chicago news, things that happened like over the weekend. And if you were one to listen to the news, you probably wouldn't go outside. 59-year-old man was shot and robbed by 2 gunmen while walking in an alley in Inglewood Sunday morning. Police say the victim was in the 5500 block of South Bishop Street when he was approached by 2 armed male offenders who demanded his property. 3 men were wounded in a shooting outside a business in Hyde Park Sunday morning. Police say the victims were leaving a business in the 5300 block of South Lake Park Avenue around 2:30 a.m. when unknown offenders began firing shots into the crowd. They fled the scene in an unknown direction. Witness saw a black Charger, this is a black Charger again, driving away at a high rate of speed at the time of the incident. One of the victims, a 27-year-old man, was shot in the left arm and self-transported to Providence. A 41-year-old woman was critically wounded in a shooting in Inglewood Saturday night. Police say the victim was a passenger in a car in the 1000 block of West 70th Street when a group of male offenders on the street shot at their vehicle multiple times. The victim was transported to University of Chicago Medical Center in critical condition with gunshot wounds to the face and chest. Again, if you lived here and listened to the news, you probably wouldn't want to go out. Ben, he said, both are old white men. Ben said, we need new blood and new ideas. We got that. Gun control, Biden pen. That's insane. Lobbies are doing as they did with oil, pushing the electric car onto the agenda. Yeah, but they are pushing it, but there's so many other things to think about. And I understand them pushing it, but to be on our governor's desk to have an EV law that says every new house. You just got a house. I'm sorry, not to call you out, but anyway, Makiba, you just got a new house. If they would have said that you have to have an EV charger, neither one of you have electric vehicles, and that would have been an additional cost. Okay, so believe me, with all these EVs, with all these electric vehicles, believe me, states are going to think of ways to get that revenue back because they're not getting it back from the fuel tax. So believe they're going to start charging these stations or on mileage or on something. And would it be fair to you to have it at your new house because you had a new house constructed and you don't have an electric car? Would it be fair to you to get charged not only the additional money for having it added onto your house, but the additional fee that is sure to come down the pipeline? It's sure to come down the pipeline in all these states. Now we're going to go to entertainment. The last segment, entertainment. Now, I don't know if anybody knows about Jamie Foxx, and I know I have a few people here that work in hospitals, and Jamie has been in the hospital now since April 11th, which will almost be a month. His family insisted on privacy. I get that. I think all of us know people that have had heart attacks, brain hemorrhages, strokes, and all kind of things. But a month is a long time to be in the hospital. But this is what we know so far. And this is strictly rumored. Most of this entertainment stuff is rumored. Then they said that Diddy had something to do with it. But I have heard so much stuff on Diddy. I mean, if half of this stuff is true, I don't know why they haven't knocked on his door, but here we go. Jamie Foxx is an actor, comedian, and singer who has been in the hospital since April 11th, 2023. As of May 3rd, it's unknown why he was hospitalized, which is fine. Although he was on his way to recovery at first, a friend revealed that the actor still needed prayers 3 weeks later. On May 3rd, Jamie released his first statement since being hospitalized to update fans on his condition. 2 days after Jamie's statement, a source close to the star claimed he was stable as of May 5th, 2023. I don't believe any of this. I believe very little that I read in any publication, or even I'm very suspect of even media. I remember one famous person, and I won't say who it was. The famous person got into an accident, and the media said, oh, this person just bumped her knee and she's going to be all right. And I'm like, okay, cool. Got up the next morning, she was dead. And her car looked like a can. So I'm not believing any of this until they figure out, or until they want to come out and say what happened. They got paid. They say people in Elements are trying to unlike him. Okay. Here's another unconfirmed story, but you've been hearing it and seeing it everywhere. It says Usher threw Chris Brown a skate party for his birthday, which also included guests like Mario, Bow Wow, and many more. However, at a certain point of the night, reportedly things got pretty heated as Brown was quite drunk. Not only that, but he was apparently being disrespectful to Teyana Taylor, approaching her in an intoxicated manner. Then reports alleged multiple people got involved in the argument, and it's unclear what disrespect he directed at her. Allegedly, one of the people who tried to calm Chris down was none other than his friend Usher, because he wanted to steer him away. Apparently, at some point during their spat, Brown called the R&B star a coward and left the venue with his team. Then the confession singer reportedly walked outside to meet the Beautiful People artists, why don't they say the names, in order to talk to him and calm him down. It was at that moment where sources say Brown and his entourage attacked Usher. Not only that, but it was apparently so bad that the singer got a bloody nose. Now, you read between these lines, something probably happened. I don't think all this happened. I don't even think he would do that, but something probably happened at the party, and there was probably some pushing, and Chris Brown probably did push him around or something. I don't know, but that's unconfirmed, but that's just, you see it everywhere. I don't know if any of you heard about the Ed Sheeran and the Marvin Gaye singer-songwriting issue, but Ed Sheeran did not copy. They said it was copyright infringement of a Marvin Gaye song, Let's Get It On. Now, Ed Sheeran's song is Thinking Out Loud. And if you listen to both of these songs, Thinking Out Loud by Ed Sheeran and Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye, there's no commonalities. The British singer-songwriter had denied stealing elements of the song for his 2014 worldwide hit. Heirs of Gaye's co-writer argued that Sheeran, Warner Music Group, and Sony Music Publishing owed them money for copyright infringement. Sheeran had said he would give up his music career, found guilty at the trial in New York. A musicologist for Sheeran's defense told the court the only similarity between these two songs was a 4-chord sequence. Now, anyone who follows Sheeran knows that he always talks about, I can create a whole song with 4 chords. He's even said, I can create a song with 1 chord. So, but these 4 chords in question was used in several songs before Gaye's hit came out in 1973. Catherine Townsend Griffin, the daughter of Gaye's co-writer Ed Townsend, accused Sheeran of copyright infringement. She walked swiftly past reporters, smoking what appeared to be a cigarillo, saying, God is good all the time, God is good, after she lost the case. Okay, that's that. You guys just got to listen to both of these songs. No similarities. My last story, controversy. Okay, we talked about Harry a little bit earlier. Now we're going to talk about his better half, Meghan. If Meghan Markle is so proud to be Black, why does she never wear her hair as natural curly afro? Of course, every woman has a right to experiment with her look, but isn't it odd that she never shows us her natural hair? Maybe she's ashamed of it. This was a news account that was put out there. The publication speculated that Markle had rhinoplasty. It's no big deal. They included photos from her youth that showed her natural curls and a screen grab from her TED Talk introduction from her friend. The grainy screenshot was shared frequently this week by detractors and shows her with really, really, really straight hair. And they say the whole crust of this is she's only Black when it's convenient. She's not the only one. There's other people that I've called out as far as being Black when convenient. Other times, because it kind of passed, you didn't know. But one person speculated in response to the publication rhetorical question that she's only Black when convenient. Whatever she did, she looks worse, not better, at least 10 years older. Another backed the statements, same. And not to be critical, but then they talked about her veneers and fillers. Okay, so they don't like Meghan Markle. I have nothing against Meghan Markle, except the fact that, in my opinion, she does seem to be a bit Black when convenient. When she was working in television on Suits, I don't think anybody really knew that she was Black. I don't think she ever really talked about being Black publicly. It seems like, it appears that it all came out after her and Harry got married, and it was used as something to, I don't know, I'm Black and that's why they don't like me. I'm part Black. Okay, here's a question. Most of the people, all the people on here are Black. She was pregnant, and apparently someone in Harry's family said, I wonder what color the baby's gonna be. And that was like the worst thing that she ever heard, or the worst thing people ever heard. Now, how many times has someone been pregnant in your family? How many times have someone been pregnant in your household? How many times have someone been pregnant and the first thing that you think is, man, I wonder how the baby's going to look. And you naturally wonder, particularly if people are of different hues, some may be darker, some may be brown, some may be lighter. I wonder how the baby's going to turn out. I don't think that was unreasonable. But anyway, that's my perspective. And nothing said here reflects station management of Intellectual Radio. Ben, out of 9 lawsuits by Marvin Gaye's team, Ed Sheeran is one of the only one that actually won. Marvin's people had won a settlement almost every other time. Yeah, but you know what? And I've followed those settlements because, you know, I'm from way back, a Marvin Gaye fan. And there were similarities. I mean, what's that guy? I can't think of his name. Anyway, his song sounded just like it. But Ed's did not. They based it on 4 chords. So I know what you're saying, Ben, and that's a real nice way to rectify someone that took something that wasn't theirs, and a good way to get money. But in this case with Ed Sheeran, it wasn't true, and they had no case, and I'm glad it came out that way. This has been a news show, and I'm so glad that most of you stayed with it and stuck with it. Thank you so much, because I know sometimes news isn't the most glamorous thing, you know, that a talk show host can talk about. And I'm glad that you guys stuck with me and kind of interacted with me. It was fun. Thank you so much. I am going to be on next week. I do have a guest. I don't want to say who it is yet because, you have to confirm and double confirm. But I will be on next week. And next week is Mother's Day. If my guest, for whatever reason, can't show up, I'll do a Mother's Day show. So you guys tune in next week at 6 o'clock. If for whatever reason you can't tune in, you'll be able to see the rebroadcast. We are on Facebook Live, Twitter, and also YouTube. You guys have a great week. Be blessed. Hope your dreams start coming true. And look forward to seeing you next week. And tell a friend. Signing out. This is Jan. Be blessed, y'all.
Baby, let me steal. I gotta steal. Don't you wanna steal? I've got to see you somehow. Not tomorrow, but right now. I know it's late. I can't wait. Come on and steal. Don't wanna keep thinking I might change my mind. Everybody's sleeping.
And that artist is Chicago's own friend of Voices of Change on Intellectual Radio. He's been on a couple times. That's Dante Hall, Still Away.
Come on and see. I know that it's wrong meeting you this way. There's no other way I can be with you.